Well, very good, and thank all the deputies that contributed. A tradition, Minister, a tradition cannot act as a veto on legal responsibilities. And you've been quoting Minister McConlough, who went off and didn't even stay for the full debate. He probably wouldn't have been here at all, only for he had to make the question of the record for something else. I mean, you're quoting the Animal Health Act in 2013, your 1993 Roads Act, and as Deputy Quinlivan said, 43 years ago, this issue of horses, stray horses, was brought up by former Deputy McGrath. 43 years ago. You can wheel out all the legislation you like, but clearly you're getting calls to your office. You see it yourself. All our deputies are, and I thank the people who came and are interested in sorting out this. It's not working, clearly. And I support the Department of Agriculture and thank them, officials and the council and the Gardaí in Tipperary and elsewhere for the way they try to grab for this, but clearly it's a mismatch, and there's no coherent, decent legislation. In England, the United Kingdom, they have a dedicated, it's not the council and it's not the department, they have a dedicated police unit for dealing with this. And we had the stories there of what happened in cemeteries and graveyards. You know, that's just not acceptable. People have to respect that, and I have those problems myself in Tipperary, especially in Cashel. But look, I mean, I'm not a killjoy, or I'm not a fount of knowledge, so I'm shocked that the government can close their eyes to this. It's been raised in this House first 43 years ago, if that was even the first time. 2 years ago I brought it forward again, and things have only got worse. And the animal cruelty. And you think you had money to throw away, the amount of money that you've given to the fund in the last 5 years, 12 million, I think. It's a shocking amount of money. And I know what it costs. I know the number of horses have been euthanized. It's shocking. And the cruelty involved. So rather than deal with the problem and have proper, meaningful legislation with powers that can be clearly enforced, not a bit in the council and a bit in the department and a bit elsewhere and a bit in animal welfare, proper to deal with this issue up front. We have a very respectable and proud racing and a horse-owning tradition. And indeed, I didn't refer to it earlier, but it was wonderful to see, especially in the cities and towns, the horse-drawn carriages with the Guinness and horse-drawn carriages with all kinds of livery goods. And there was a huge respect and a relationship between the Irish people and the horses. And now it's gone to new and international highs with the race-horsing skills that we have in Tipperary with Coolmore and Aidan O'Brien and his family, and Tommy Stack. And look, I could name them for the day. We're very proud of them, and they give a lot of employment too. And the way they treat their horses. So I'm hoping, and my real effort was that the government wouldn't just reject this because it's Mattie McGrath's bill. I mean, all the deputies that spoke admit, if they're honest, and they have been honest, and said there's a problem. And Deputy Kenny has issues in parts of it, and I accept that. And maybe the prohibition is the wrong word, but we must engage and try and have this brought in under, you know, one piece of legislation where it can't be held without a licence. I'd love to ask the Minister, but he's not here now. How many, he said that you have to have a month's notice, give a month's notice, an application to the department and to Garda Síochána to run a race. How many applications have you got in the department? How many? How many applications have you refused in the department for these licences with a month's notice? How many have been granted for this licence? I don't know what you're saying, but you can tell me privately or whatever afterwards. But that's what I'm going to ask you. I mean, you're all flowery language there, but it's meaningless. Pass the buck. We have another department now. Yeah, pass the buck around the house, around the kitchen, and mind the dresser. Remember the famous man in Kelly House? What's his name? You're here longer than I am, you remember him. His name eludes me, but Kieran O'Hanrahan. Yes, it was indeed. Around the house and mind the dresser. Around the country and mind the Department of Agriculture and the Garda Síochána, the County Council, the health authorities. But you're not doing it. So why don't you bring forward a piece of legislation, robust legislation, with all your departments and all your resources and deal with it? Not come in here and just kind of rubbish this and say because it's a tradition. In actual fact, it's not a tradition. A horse with an affinity with horses, especially with the traveller community, is a long-standing commission. And I have fond memories of the sweep coming, Mr. O'Connor and his wife, with the mule actually drawing the bell-top wagon and a donkey at the back, and the engagement with the people and the families, and they used to make lovely coal turtles. And when I built the house in 1984, I bought a coal turtle off them, and it's still around. The craftsmanship that was in that is unbelievable. So, I mean, we can work with this together, and we can deal with it, and we can get it off track. And I'd ask you, Deputy Hayden, from the Plains of Kildare, as well as the Carhill, even though I would claim that we have more racing prowess in Tipperary than you have, but nonetheless that can be seen on the racetracks. To engage with Horse Racing Ireland, to engage with the different tracks that are there, and many underutilised race courses, to see if there could be days organised. Now, the people that phoned me today from Galway say that Sulky-Racing can't go on a track. I don't know the reason for that. I won't know until I meet him. But I think it's much safer and easier for any animal. The greyhounds are unable to run on sand surface because it's clearly couldn't be good to have them on without any shoes or anything running on the tar road. Ask any of us to run from here to Kildare, you'd have fairly sore limbs and fairly sore ankles and all as well. So animals then racing at speed. So listen, animal cruelty is involved here as well. And I salute the animal refuge. And it's not fair that they have to pick up the tabs. And I know every year before Christmas, probably next week will be announced. You'll probably have them already ready to send out the letters of throwing stops the funding to animal rescues. And it's very much needed. But they are operating on a shoestring. And they do tremendous work. And we need to support them. Like, there's huge cruelty issues, and there's huge anomalies here, Minister. No point passed it 43 years ago, Deputy Lipper raised it. I raised it 2 years ago. I'm raising it again. Will we do something about it, please? I am surprised that no Fianna Fáil or no Fine Gael backbenchers, or indeed Labour, or indeed Social Democrats are interested in this. I mean, they were here last week, the Social Democrats, 2 weeks ago, trying to ban and destroy our very vital greyhound industry. And we have all these issues. This is going under our noses, and we want to turn a blind eye to it and turn backwards and blindfold ourselves when serious incidents are taking place, and it's a serious threat to human safety. Serious threat to human safety. And as I said, I'm no killjoy, so I want to work with them, and I'd love to have an all-party group, a committee here that would work with them. I know we have an all-party Oireachtas committee dealing with traveller issues now, but this is an issue that should be dealt with. And it could be very enjoyable, very resourceful, and a lot of badly needed revenue for the Department of Finance, Mr. Deputy O'Donoghue, as it is in other countries. So we're so insular here, we won't look abroad to see best practice, and we won't see, but this is going on in a lot of constituencies, and TDs are getting called for it, but for whatever reason, they don't want to talk about it. But I mean, it's just talk about sweeping under the carpet. It must be dealt with. And I'm quite appalled that Mr. McConnell and yourself come in to see him and just rubbish this. Instead of saying, look, I'm not saying it's perfect. Take the bill, embrace it, put it in for scrutiny, and indeed discuss it at the different committees, agriculture, transport, you name it, and others, maybe health as well, and try and come together with a formula that we work together to try and enhance this situation and try and improve it. And as I said, I think I got about 60 WhatsApp messages this evening an hour from sulky owners and racers all over the country. And they are interested. And they're worried because I was trying to do something that's not. I'm not. I'm interested in working with them. And I did get threatened the last time for what it's worth. And I hope it won't happen this time that I'll be shot in Dublin for bringing up this issue. We can't have this kind of threats in a modern democracy. We can't be all afraid to deal with it because the vast majority of people involved, as I said, I know many of them involved are 100%, but there's a rogue element, and the people that spoke to me today accept that. That must be weeded out. So look, it's time that we grasp the nettle. And you're grasping so many other things that are nice and dandy and you like to see them, and they're nice and policies that you think will go down well with the meeting. You do research and polls to know what the people want. The people want their children to be safe in their cars when they're bringing them to school or to college. The people want to know, a husband or wife, that the wife's going up and work, a pregnant woman, is not forced off the road upside down into a field when a whole road is taken over. And you expect the RD then with two on duty in a station like here to go out and stop a race in the old N8, which is used regularly, with 100, maybe 30 or 40 sulkies and maybe a couple of hundred people and vans and cars. Mayhem. Mayhem. Sure, look, no point in ignoring it. You know what the problem is there. We try and deal with it. And I know that the horse project that Jonathan Irwin was involved in the prison is very important. And they're all there, but they're all individual efforts. So the Natalie Curlig here, and make an effort together here in this Parliament. It's our duty to protect the public. It's our duty to protect animal welfare. And it's our duty to protect the Gardaí as well, give them plenty of support and give them the powers, and the department officials and the county council officials and the horse wardens and whoever else. And we need a horse warden in Tipperary badly. And, you know, but it's not there. We're scratching at the surface. We're thinking around with it, pardon the pun, and we're fooling ourselves to think that it's not necessary. As I said, new Minister McConnell come in. It mightn't be happening in Donegal, I don't know, but he should know more about this than come in and just read out this kind of a spiel and say he's flatly refusing to discuss this. So I'm hoping that this will be go at it again, and we'll work together with the people involved. And Deputy Kenny has been involved with his groups out, and I'd love to go and see that track, somebody the Hammonds track, which Joe said I would before. I'd like to see, because I like to learn as well. It's a bad day if we don't learn something. Go on, good.